Welcome back to Book Break. It's time for our March book haul. So if you haven't seen one of these before, every month I get a very exciting email from Elle, the other half of the Book Break team, showing off some of the most exciting books that we have published over the last month. I never know what's going to be in these emails, and it always amazes me how many books we publish every month. There are always some in here that I haven't even seen yet. So opening up the first one. Oh, that's gorgeous. And just like I said, I haven't seen this before. This is A World on the Wing, the global odyssey of migratory birds. So that sounds really interesting, and I just can't stop staring at how gorgeous that cover is. So I'm just pulling up the description. Bird migration remains perhaps the most singularly compelling natural phenomenon in the world. Nothing else combines its global sweep with its inherent ability to engender wonder and excitement. That's so true. So in this book, the author, Scott Wiedenstuhl, is basically tracking some of the most amazing flights undertaken by birds around the world. And it tackles the effects of climate change, some of the threats that this poses, but the description says this is the rousing and reverent story of the billions of birds that, despite the numerous obstacles we have placed in their path, continue to head with hope to the far horizon. So that sounds delightful. Next, another gorgeous one with birds on the cover, Wayfinding by Michael Bond. So I have seen this one before, the art and science of how we find and lose our way. So this is basically all about how our brains make those cognitive maps that let us know where we are. Even when we're in an unfamiliar place, most of us are able to keep a rough sense of direction. I say most of us because I have a very bad sense of direction, but it's still amazing that I'm able to get myself anywhere, to be honest. So it says that in this book, Bond seeks an answer to the question of why some of us are so much better at finding our way than others. That'd be very interesting. And tries to understand why being lost can be such a devastating psychological experience. So another fascinating one for all you non-fiction fans. Next, A Desolation Called Peace. This is very much not non-fiction. This is the next book by Arkady Martin. It's the sequel to A Memory Called Empire. So this is epic sci-fi. The first book, A Memory Called Empire, won the 2020 Hugo Award for Best Novel in the sci-fi genre, so a lot of people are very excited for this sequel. In this one, an alien terror could spell our end. Next is a very beautiful one, The Field by Robert C. Thaler. So he is the author of A Whole Life, which was shortlisted for the International Booker Prize, so he's a wonderful author. And this one, if I remember correctly, is actually narrated by the voices of the people in graves at a cemetery. I'm just going to pull up the description to check that I've got that right. Yes, that's right. From their graves in the field, the town's late inhabitants tell stories from their lives. So it's kind of a tapestry of all these different voices. It is a book of human lives that ultimately shows how life, for all its fleetingness, still has meaning. That's lovely, and that's very much what his last book that I read, A Whole Life, did the same thing. It's a very, very short book, and it kind of gave this profound beauty to even very small lives. So it sounds like this is going to be a similar theme. Okay, next we have another non-fiction, The Book Collectors of Derea, a band of Syrian rebels, their underground library, and the stories that carried them through a war. So this is very much going to be one of those books for people who love books and love the power of books. So this sounds like a really moving and fascinating true story that happened in 2012 when Derea was besieged by Syrian government forces for the next 4 years. People's homes were destroyed, food supplies were cut off, but a group of Syrian revolutionaries created this secret library. They went around rescuing as many books as they could and created this space for people to learn, for people to exchange ideas, for people to hope. We've actually made a whole video on books about books and books for people who love books, so I will link to that below, and this one definitely belongs on that list. Next, oh, a gorgeous cover. This is 7.5 Lessons About the Brain by Lisa Feldman Barrett. I really want to read this one. So this one is written by a neuroscientist, but it's also very accessible for people who have more of a casual interest in science, and it's everything that we know about the brain. So it's 7 short essays plus a little bite-sized story. That's the half lesson about how brains evolved, and each essay reveals some incredible lesson that what neuroscientists have discovered about the brain, where they came from, how they're structured, even how to debunk really popular myths about the brain, like the battle between thoughts and emotions, or between nature and nurture to determine your behaviour. She really clears all of that up a bit more. Then we have, oh, it's Kika and Me by Amit Patel. So this is the story of Kika the guide dog and how she completely changed her owner's life. So Amit Patel has this extraordinary story. He was working as a trauma doctor when a very rare condition caused him to suddenly lose his sight within 36 hours. So his whole world changed and he suddenly had to learn how to use a cane and then a guide dog to navigate his world. And before he met his guide dog Kika, the world was very terrifying to him. He was assaulted once and became afraid to leave his house for several months. And then he met Kika, and this is all the story of how she changed his world. Then moving to fiction, this is The Sicilian Method by Andrea Camilleri, and I love this new cover design. So this is the paperback. I have only really seen the hardback covers of this whole series, which are gorgeous as well, but I have to say I love this. So this is the 26th novel in the Inspector Montalbano series. This is such a beloved series, and this one is all about murders happening behind the scenes of a play. Then we have some short stories, A Registry of My Passage Upon the Earth by Daniel Mason. So this again is the paperback. Daniel Mason is most famous for his just incredible use of words. Even says here on the cover, one of the finest prose stylists in fiction. That's really what has captured so many people's hearts with his writing. So this is a collection of stories set all over the world, really harnessing the mysteries and magic of the world. Then we have the latest Jenny Quintana, The Hiding Place. I actually have this one right here in front of me. Here it is. So this is about a woman called Marina who was abandoned as a baby wrapped in a bright blue shawl, and so she was nicknamed by the press Baby Blue, and she was left in the hallway of this London house where now a flat has been put up for rent. So Marina has had a very happy life. She was adopted by a very loving family, but she's always wanted to know the secrets of her past, so she can't resist this chance to get closer to her history and rent this flat. But when she gets there, it seems like someone is watching her. Next in here is The Lamplighters. This is another one that I've got. I'm going to grab it because the cover is so gorgeous. It deserves to be seen in real life. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. So this is based on a true story, a true historical mystery of a group of lighthouse keepers who vanished without a trace. So Emma Stonex has taken that story and then created her own story around it, moving the action to Cornwall in the 1970s. And we switch between these two timelines, the 1970s when these men first went missing, and then 20 years later, looking at the lives of the women they left behind. Then there's Edge of the Grave by Robbie Morrison. So this one was featured in our dark Scottish writing video recently. I will link to that below. This has been described as Peaky Blinders in Glasgow. So it's the 1930s, a serial killer is on the loose, and it's up to Inspector Jimmy Dreghorn to solve the case, even though he has a very complicated relationship with the widow of the first victim. Next we have, The Geometry of Pasta. I have seen our social team having a lot of fun with this one on Instagram recently. This is the A to Z of pasta with 100 recipes along the way. So this is this unique combination of food and design. The book pairs 100 authentic recipes from chef Jacob Kennedy with designs by award-winning designer Kaz Hildebrand that reveal the science, history and philosophy behind spectacular pasta dishes from all over Italy. So it says here that The Geometry of Pasta tells you everything you need to know about cooking and eating pasta like an Italian. And on that note, I'm feeling very hungry and ready for my lunch. So let's move next to The Office of Historical Corrections by Danielle Evans. This is another short story collection. This is my favourite book that I've read so far this year, I think. So it's a collection of short stories and one novella, The Office of Historical Corrections, but all of the stories share this theme of rewriting history, reimagining history, erasing history, and who gets to be in charge of telling history. It's so thought-provoking. I absolutely loved it. And next we have Dead Simple by Peter James. So this is actually the first book in Peter James's Roy Grace series. So as you can see, this is now the TV tie-in cover to go with the new ITV series. This is an absolutely beloved best-selling book series, so if you're loving the show, here's where to begin. Then we've got another food one, just to make me even more hungry. This is Solo, The Joy of Cooking for One by Signe Johansson. So this is a really, really lovely idea for a book. It's all about turning making food into a pleasure, making it never a chore, even when you're cooking for yourself. So it's got recipes for chefs of every level, whether you're a beginner or more experienced, and it gives you ideas of how to reinvent the same recipes over and over throughout the week to just keep that joy of cooking and eating for yourself. Really lovely. Then we have Tales from the Farm by the Yorkshire Shepherdess, Amanda Owen. I'm sure a lot of you have been hooked on her TV series, and now that the weather is brightening up, I just want to be outside on a farm all the time, to be honest. So this book covers the events of the last year and shows how Amanda and her husband and their 9 children on their farm coped with lockdown and survived through lockdown through the beauty of nature. Oh, and that's it. That's the last one. That's brilliant. That means it's time for my lunch. So I'd love to know which of these you're most excited about reading, or let me know any other books that you hauled this month that you'd like to recommend to everyone else in the comments. I will also link here to a playlist of all of our other book hauls if you're looking for even more shopping inspiration, and we'll see you next time.